Welcome to Kevin Teaches Music. In today's lesson, we're looking at the tune Sally Gardens. This is a very common Irish session tune. It's a reel in G major. In the first video, so the one you're watching right now, we are going to look at the melody of the tune, and we're going to use a little bit of ear training and aural skills to learn this melody. And then in the second video, we are going to use that knowledge of the melody to craft our accompaniment on the bouzouki or octave mandolin tuned GDAD. So this pairing of these two videos sort of represents a concept that I like to try to really emphasize with my students, which is that you really need to have a spatial understanding of the melody of the tune in order to accompany the tune in a stylistically pleasing and I guess we would say advanced way, but maybe advanced isn't the right word. In a stylistically pleasing way, you need to have this understanding of the melody. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to a ear training exercise that we're going to use, or not exercise so much as technique, that we are going to use to learn this melody by ear. So here's how the technique goes. Let's say you're trying to learn a particular melody by ear, and you hear a sequence of notes. So for example, let's pick da, da, da. So let's say your melody starts with those three notes. Well, before you even try to think about what those actual pitches are, for example, D, C, B, or whatever letter names, we need to first think about what the intervals are. And so the exercise to figure this out, or the technique, goes something like this. So we had da, da, da. Step one is after you hear those notes, you need to sing them back as accurately as you can. So I will sing them, and then you will sing them back. So da, da, da. And of course, you can always sing them back in the octave that's most comfortable for you. So da, da, da. If for the ladies, might be up there. Or if you're listening, if you're listening to a treble instrument and you have a lower voice, feel free to sing it in a lower octave, etc. But as long as you're matching those notes in some octave, that's step one. Step two is to sing the same sequence, but connect the spaces between the given notes with a scale or stepwise motion. So that would sound like this. That was step one. Now step two is da 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 da. Now, this requires you to have a good aural understanding of how scales sound. And so if that step is very difficult for you, what I would advise is sitting down at a piano or a keyboard and finding a comfortable range and practicing singing a major scale up and down, preferably with solfege syllables. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And testing yourself at various points of the scale to see if you are actually on pitch with the keyboard. Now, that being said, let's get back to step two of our current technique. So we had da, da, da. I might have changed the exact pitch of those notes slightly, but the intervals are the same. So da, da, da. So our scale is da, 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 da. Hopefully you have the pitch memory to hear as you descend your scale when you actually reach the destination note. Now, you can oscillate between steps 1 and 2 if you're having trouble, and that can help confirm that you're doing it right. For example, you start off da dum dum da 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 dum da dum da 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 dum da dum. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of testing. I'm going back and just comparing the two to make sure that I've in fact reached the note that I wanted to reach. So once I've done step 2, now I start to have a mental picture, a spatial image of this melody. Because now I know that it started on some note and then it went da, 2, 3, 4. So we always want to count inclusively, meaning that if we sing a scalar passage, count the first note as 1 and then go from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, and then that number is going to be the type of interval. So in this case, it's a fourth because we sang 4 notes. Notice that a fourth consists of 3 steps, but 4 total notes. So including the beginning and ending note, it's 4 notes, but it's going to be 3 steps. So we now know that our melody went down a fourth, and then of course it climbs back up the exact same notes. Da 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 da. Now, I just want to add one quick little caveat here. It is possible to sing an incorrect scale and arrive at the wrong conclusion. So, for example, if I start da dum dum and I go da 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 dum, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 6 notes. So it would be incorrect to conclude that that is a sixth based on the fact that I sang 6 notes. The reality is that the scales that we want to be using, namely, they're called diatonic scales. So that's essentially, think of that as being on the piano. Say you were using the white keys, you would only have 7 different pitches per octave. So for example, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and you would have skipped over the other 5, the black keys. That's a diatonic scale. It consists of 7 notes, and it always skips 5 other, what we would call accidentals. Now, it doesn't always have to be the white keys, so keep that in mind, but that's the idea, right? So different keys, like for example, the key of G would have 1 black note, and then it would not have one of the white keys, and so on and so forth for the other keys. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that when you're doing your scales in this technique for step 2, you want to be singing this diatonic type of scale. So for most of us, that will come super naturally, and you won't have that much trouble with this, because to sing the other kind of scale, which is called a chromatic scale, is actually much harder. So most of us will be doing the right kind of scale without even trying. But it is, of course, possible to get a little bit mixed up. So, again, if you're not familiar with the way these scales sound, just go to the piano and practice those there. Of course, that's easier said than done. So don't be discouraged if you're feeling like a little bit lost at this point. It's easier said than done, but time at the piano is going to be well spent, and that's going to go a really long way. So, da 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 dum da da dum. That's just shown me that my first interval of this piece is a 4th down and a 4th up. Now, let's try one more interval with this exercise, and then we'll actually launch into the tune. So da da da. Let's do da da. So da da. Okay. Now at this point, you may want to start thinking to yourself, if I have a prominent fourth in the melody, I've gone over this in other videos, but I'll say it again for those of you that may not have seen the other videos. When you hear a fourth in a melody, dun, 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 the most likely case is that the upper note of that fourth is the tonic or home note of the piece of music that you are singing. And that is because the most common place for this interval to occur is going to be sol to do. And that's from the fifth below the tonic to the tonic. So it's like, think of it as going from 5 to 8. 8, of course, that's the octave is the same note as the tonic. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you might ask, wouldn't it be also very common to hear 1 to 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. The fact of the matter is that that's actually very rare. The reason is that in Western tonal music, the melodies are going to be arranged with reference to a tonic chord. And that chord is going to be a triad, meaning it has 3 notes, that's built in a skipping pattern from the root or tonic. So the tonic is do, and then if we skip up, we're going to go do, re, mi. That's the third. And then we're going to go mi, fa, sol. That's the fifth. So we have do, mi, and sol, also known as 1, 3, and 5. That is the skeleton or backbone of most melodies. And so the fourth, notice my chord was 1, 3, 5. The 4 is actually antithetical to that entire chord. And so the fourth will serve a sort of antagonistic role to this tonic chord. So you have do, mi, sol, 1, 3, 5. The fourth is here. It's going to want to resolve to the third. That's fa, mi, or amen. But, like I've said in numerous other videos, because that fourth plays against the tonic chord, you don't often hear, especially in the opening measures of a song, you will not often hear do to fa. You'll often hear sol to do, though, because sol, as you noticed, is part of that tonic chord. For example, here comes the bride, that's sol, do. Or, happy birthday to, that's sol, do. Or, bum, 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 that's sol, 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 do, sol. Okay? So, all of that little explanation about sol, do is my way of telling you that when you hear the beginning of the melody that we're doing, da, 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 once you hear that fourth, you should immediately suspect that that higher note of those two is the tonic. And I would say it's pretty much always safe to assume that that is what's happening. Unless you're dealing with a modal piece or maybe a minor piece. But for most of the time, you're dealing with a relatively normal sounding major key melody, I would say just go ahead and assume that. And if you run into some trouble, if that assumption lands you in a sticky situation, then give me a call and I'll help you out. But usually it's going to be correct. So we have da, da, da. So we're going to operate under the assumption that that's do, sol, do. Now let's listen to this next bit. Dum, bum, ba, da. So we went do, sol, do, and then we went up. Okay, let's use our technique. So first we repeat the notes back. Da dum, da dum. Now you try it. Okay, that's step one. That's easy. Step two is a little tougher, but not too bad. It's connecting the dots with a scale. So here, again, step one was da dum. Sorry, I'm a little flat. Da dum. There we go. Now I'm not going to do it. I want you guys to try this scale. So again, your endpoints are da dum. So see if you can connect the dots. Okay. Now, like I said earlier in this video, it is possible to fit more notes into this space than are really what we're looking for. But the simplest solution is to go da da dum, right? Do re mi. Now, some of you might be wondering, gosh, there seems like a lot of vague instructions in this video. There seems like a lot of things that could go wrong, like I could sing the wrong scale, I could sing the wrong step and arrive at the wrong conclusion, blah, blah, blah. And that is entirely true. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm not saying in this video because I don't want it to be overly long. But if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, you could break up that do, re, mi, and you could talk about the fact that do to re is what we call a whole step. Do, re. That means that it actually does have a note in between it, which we call a half step. So we have do, di, re. Then from re to mi, re, mi is another whole step. That means that there's also a note hiding in between there, which is another half step. Re, re, mi. Those half steps are generally going to sound kind of jazzy, right? Da, na, no, na, na, no. Okay? So if you're a little, flummoxed about where those half steps and whole steps fall, go to a piano, look at the white key scale from C to C, that's called the C major scale, and you'll see between the C and D, there's a black key. Between the D and E, there's a black key. Between the E and F, there is no black key. So that's actually already a half step. Then between all of the remaining tones, there are also black keys, meaning that those have half steps between them, which means that the white keys are a whole step apart. And then finally, the B to C is going to be without the black key. So that'll give you a mental map of where the half steps fall on the scale. So what we've inadvertently done is actually the beginning of the tune, Sally Gardens. So it's dum ba da 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 dum ba da dum dee da da ba dee da da dum. Okay, so we actually did the first few notes. Now, let's keep going. But now that we've got the hang of it, we're going to try to get bigger chunks of notes at a time, so we can hopefully get the melody without being here all day and all night. So we have do, sol, and by the way, I'm changing the starting pitch at random because we're not trying to think of this thing in any one key. We're just trying to do it conceptually, sort of in midair. So I'm not even playing my instrument. I'm not thinking of it in a key. I'm just doing it as a shape. So don't try not to get flummoxed if I started at a different pitch every time. I can't even remember what pitch I started it at 5 minutes ago. So, dum. We have do, sol, do, mi. At this point, you should be able to hear that's just descending back down those steps. Mi, re, do. Okay? So, do, sol, do, mi, re, do. Da, da, dum, dum. Mi, re, do. Hopefully you can hear that note at the end is the same as the beginning of the phrase. Da, pardon me. Da, 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 da. Now we come to a little back and forth bit. So here, we've reached the highest point in the melody thus far. Yum ba ba dee ba do ba da do dee do da. So your first suspicion, we've already done the root or the 1. We've gone up to the 3. The next logical step to reach would be the 5. Again, the 4 is going to be sort of the 4th tone of the scale does not really play nicely with this grouping. It may come up, but especially on the stronger downbeats at the beginning of the song, you want to look for 1, 3, and 5. That's, if you take anything out of this video, that's what I want you to learn. Listen for 1, 3, and 5. Do, mi, and sol. So here it is. Bum, ba, ba, de, ba, do, ba, da. That's the 5, right? Ba, dum, be, dum, ba. What you can hear there is a neighbor tone, right? Da, dee, dum. So that's the 5, and then you hear it going up a step and then back down. So that's 5, 6, 5. And then you hear that alternating with a lower tone. Ba, do, be, do, ba. So those 3 upper tones are 5, 6, 5. That lower tone is the 3. Right? So a lot of this you can kind of guess just based on this whole idea of 1, 3, 5 being prominent, and then you can test it using the techniques that we learned earlier in the video. I don't want to test every single thing because then the video will be too long, but da 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 dum da dum da da dum. That's me testing, okay, is that really 5/3? Yes, because if I can sing 5/4/3 and it matches, then it must be 5/3. So yum ba ba dee ba do ba da dum dee da ba do ba. That's just a little turn on the 3 there. 3, 2, 3. So sing that bit with me. Dum ba ba dee da dum ba da do dee do da do do dum. Now some of you are probably feeling like, wow, that was kind of a lot, and I didn't quite have it. I didn't quite catch all the steps from before. Listen again and then try it with me. So I'm going to do, I am going to sing numbers. So I'm going to sing 1, 5, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 5, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 5, 3, 6, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3. Okay. Pardon me. Let's try the next phrase. So, by the way, we've covered 2 measures already. And once we do the next 2, we will have covered pretty much the whole melody of the A section. So our next part is yum ba da 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 dee ya da ba da be ya ba dum bum bum. Do that one more time. Just listen to it first. Ya da 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 dee da 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 dee. Right away, you can hear the range of this section. It's going to reach a higher apex, a higher peak than the earlier part, but then it goes way down all the way to the lowest point as well. So our starting note is dum. So let's see if we can remember our tonic. Let's sing up to that other note. Yum ba 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 bum 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 ba 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 bum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our 5th. So again, I'm condensing some processes that might realistically take you a little bit longer, but just to show you how it goes, right? So we have 5, 5, 3, 5. Hear that skip down? 5, 3, 5, da, da, da. That is a very common gesture, that climb there. If we're on 5 and we hear a climb of 3 notes, it's probably 6, 7, 8. because that's going to land us on the high tonic, right? So 5, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, da-dum. Now this part's actually a little tricky because you might think it would go back down the exact same scale. But if you listen, dum ba da 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 dum. So you hear that top note, da da dum, and then you only hear two notes. And that the last note that I sang should remind you of the 5 from earlier. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In fact, sing that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now keep that in your head. Dum ba da dee da 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 dum. Dum ba da 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 dee da dum. So hopefully you can hear that that's the same note at the beginning and the end, right? Dum dum. So a lot of this is about pitch memory. So that means that we went 5, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 5. So we skipped the 7 on the way down. That's a very, very common technique. Notice we've skipped the 4 and we've only briefly touched on the 7. That's because those two notes are the notes that are not present in the pentatonic scale. The pentatonic scale, as I've said in some of my other videos, is a 5-note scale that consists of 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Sorry, 6. Got a little bit of a cough, so my singing voice is a little less than ideal. So the pentatonic scale is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. It notably skips 4 and 7. So don't be surprised if your Irish melodies do a lot of hopping over 4 and 7 and tend to focus on 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. And of course, 8 is the same as 1, so that doesn't count as a 6th tone. So it really truly is a pentatonic scale. Now, our melody is not strictly pentatonic because, as you've noticed, it did have that 7th scale tone in it. So 5, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 5. Now we have ya da de dum, ya ba da de dum. So 5, 3, 2, 3, 1. Sing that with me. 5, 3, 2, 3, 1. You're going to be tempted to think you're hearing 4s. You're probably not, especially not in Irish music. So you might hear this da-dum and think, oh, that's a step down, 5-4. No, it's 5-3. 5-4 will have a very different sound. Well, take a listen. Da-dum, that's 5-3. Sorry, for contrast, 5-3. Da-dum. Now here's 5-4. Da-dum. That's a very different flavor. So 5-3 sounds like this. 5-4. A lot more tension there, right? You know what it's like. Where troubles no, sorry. What's the words of that part of Somewhere Over the Rainbow? Someday I wish upon a star. That part is a tonic chord because it's 5-3. And then, oh, way up where the clouds are far behind. When you get that 5-4, da-da, sorry, da-da-da-da, that's where the chord has changed. Right now it's not a tonic chord. But if your tune feels like it's still kind of chilling on that initial tonic chord sound, you're probably hearing 5-3 when you hear that little what feels like kind of a big step is actually a small skip, namely 5-3, right? So anyway, we have yum ba da da ba dee bum ba. That's our 5-3 bottom. 5-3 2 3. Hopefully you can hear when something is moving by step. 3 2 3 1. Now here's an interesting bit at the end that confirms this whole pentatonic supremacy, if you will. Yeah, so we have 5, 3, 2, 3, 1, da 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 da. So this is the tonic, this is 1. Now listen to these lower notes, da 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 da. Now, clearly it goes down, right? It goes down 2 and then back up. But is it steps? So is it 1, 7, 6, 7, 1? Or if you want to think 8, 7, 6, 7, 8, if that helps your brain, then go for it. No, it's not that, right? You don't hear that. You don't hear that really close step. Dum bum 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 bum. It's not that. It's yum bum 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 bum. Let's sing those two together because otherwise this is not going to make any sense. The first one we're going to sing is moving only in steps. It's do, ti, la, ti, do. Sing that with me. Do, ti, la, ti, do. Notice do and ti are very close. That's a half step, right? And remember I said earlier in this video, the 7th note of the scale is very rare, just like the 4th, especially in Irish music. So again, we should be very wary if we think we're doing 8, 7, 6, 7, 8, we should be very wary and make absolutely sure that we're not fooling ourselves. Because listen to what it really is. Dum, bum, 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 bum. Totally different melody. Sing that with me. Do, la, sol, la, do. And that fits the pentatonic scale, and it has the added advantage of landing on the sol, which at the beginning of the video I said was going to be a prime tone. So this whole thing is arranged around sol, la, do, re, mi. Notice how the la and the re just function as offbeat passing tones between the sol, do, and mi. That's why the pentatonic scale works so well, because you have dum da dum da 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 dum dum. It allows you to create this smooth, evenly spaced melody where the chord tones land on downbeats, the 1, 3, and 5. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 5, 3, 2, 1, 5, 1. You hear that? That kind of gentle rhythm? Sorry, this thing's terribly out of tune. Anyway, guess what? We've covered measures 1 through 4. And actually, that's really all we need for the A section, because the next 4 measures are basically the same, but the only difference is the next 4 measures close on the tonic. So listen real quick. I'll sing the first 4 measures and then I'll sing 5 through 8 and you'll hear the difference. Dum ba ba da 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 ba dum ba ba da ba dee ba ba da be dum. The only difference is it just doesn't go da ba ba bum at the end. It just goes dum. Otherwise, it's identical, literally exactly the same. Okay, so I know this is a lot of information, and if you didn't already know the tune, you're probably thinking, "Wow, this is a lot of notes. I haven't followed every single thing," and that's totally fine. I'm really just more introducing you to a technique that I want you to be able to use in the future, and it's going to take some practice. So let's try to sing the whole A section, and we'll start. We won't do numbers or solfege. We'll just do da da da, and then we'll see if we can try some numbers. So it's gonna be dum ba ba da 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 dee do da 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 dum da da dee da 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 dum ba da dee ba do do dum. Let's actually break it into smaller sections. That might have been a bit much. So I'll sing a measure and then you sing it back. Dum ba da 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 dum. And then your turn. 3, 4. Let's do that one more time. Ready, go. Dum ba da 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 dum. Okay, second measure. I'm gonna start on the note that I just ended on. The dum. Okay, here it comes. Da 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 dum. Okay, ready, go. One more time. Ready, go. And always sing with confidence, right? It's better to make a mistake with gusto than to be too meek. Especially with singing, because if you're too meek, then you're not engaging your brain, and your brain is not you're not forcing your brain to start arranging pitches spatially in your head. But if you're a little more bold and aggressive with it, then even when you're wrong, you'll be able to hear it, and then your brain will learn from that mistake, and it'll say, okay, wait, that wasn't right. But if you kind of shy away from the notes and sing in sort of a wavery kind of non-committal way, then your brain will just disengage. Your brain will be like, well, I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to peace out, right? So always try your best, da 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 da, and even if you're like a little off, that's better than the other approach. Okay, measure 3. Yum ba da 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 dum. All right, sing it with me. 3, 4. Dum da 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 dum. And again. Dum da 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 dum. And finally, measure 4. We have da 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 dum bum. So what I'm doing, I'm when I'm doing any given measure, I'm singing. Pardon me. I'm singing the entire measure and then the first note of the next measure, just to give it a sense of closure. So we have ya da 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 dum. 3, 4. Ya da 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 dum. You can see I like to use my hands to sort of assist the spatial visualization. I would definitely encourage you to do that. Okay, now let's now pick up the zouk or the octave mando and start working on this this phrase. I mean, it's really the entire A section. If we have time, we'll get to the B section, or I might leave that as an exercise. But I'll definitely, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, just go ahead and send me a message, and I can help you with any of that. So, I have my capo on the 5th fret. That is, actually, to start off, let's take the capo off. The tune is supposed to be in G, but for starters, we're actually going to play it in this open D position, because that's going to suit our vocal range a little better, and I want to use the vocal stuff that we just worked on to get the tune. Then, when you're playing with other people, all you do is slap the capo on here, and it'll be in the correct key. But we can go ahead and learn it in this lower key, and that should be no problem. So our tonic is going to be the D string. That's going to be our Do. Then your sol is going to be down here. That's the A. But again, the real tune is going to be in a different key. But I really just don't even think of these as being note names. Just think of them as being tonic. Down there is your 5. Then you've got 1, 2, 3 on this string. then your next open string is the 5. Then you've got 6, 7 if you need it, which we will only need it once. And then your final open string there is the 8, right? And that's all we need for this melody. So we just need 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? Let's actually practice singing and playing that. So it's going to start on this low, the 2nd fret here. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what that ends up being, it's a pentatonic scale plus 1 extra note, right? Okay, now we're ready to try to fit our melody into this scale. So it starts dum bum bum bum. That's 1 5 1 3. Right? Now let's listen to the next part. Bum 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 ba da dum. Just comes down the scale there. Now we have dum ba da dee da 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 da. Okay, that's just jumping up 1 3 5. So it's going to end on that open A string there. That's measure 1. Let's play that one more time. 3 4. Now let's tackle measure 2. We're going to start on that very same downbeat, da, but it's going to be da 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 da. That was 5 3 6 3 5 3 2 3. So it's a lot of back and forth with the 3, right? 5 3 6 3 5 3 2 3. Literally every single one of the offbeats is a 3, and then the other notes are all 5. It's 5 6 5 and then 2. So 5 3 6 3 5 3 2 3. 5 3 6 3 5 3 2 3. Okay, play that with me. Now measure 3. Yum ba da da ba da ba dum. That starts on the 5. 5 3 5 6 7 8 6 5. Sorry, my voice isn't the greatest right now. Starting on that open A string. 5 3 5 6 7 8 6 5. One more time. And then last but not least is measure 4. It's going to be yum, again starting on that 5. And that's our pentatonic bit, right? 5 3 2 3 1 6 5 6 1. Or in solfege, sol mi re mi do la sol la do. Okay, remember, this open A string is our sol, then this is our do, then our other sol is down here, right? So we have 5 3 2 3 1 6 5 6 1. Notice my fingers can all stay in this box of fret 2 and 4, right? See how easy that is on the left hand, at least. It's very simple, right? And then, of course, to play the entire A section, you simply repeat that measures 1, 2, 3, 4 for 5, 6, 7, 8, with the exception that in the final measure, you just end on the tonic instead of going. So listen to the way that sounds. It's instead of. It just doesn't have that extra 3 notes at the end. Right? And there, you've played the entire A section of Sally Gardens. I think that I'll, you know what, I'll play through the B section for you real quick, but we won't do the laborious like note by note thing with the ear training. But I will show it to you real quick. So the B section. Sorry. Now listen to this ending. I think that ending's the same as the A section, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So that the last two measures of the B section are the same as the last two measures of the A section. So I'll do that B section again one more time, and I'll do it measure by measure. All right. So measure 1. Yep. So that's 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1. Again, you see it's mostly on the open strings there, and then I just need this. I only need that one fretted note. Okay, now measure 2, starting on that note that I just ended on. Okay. And now measure 3, beginning on the note that I just ended on. Now here's where you kind of have to do this with the 2 fingers adjacent. It's not the most bouzouki friendly bit, but you can also bar if you want to, but just make sure you're getting a clean note. I think I prefer to. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay. Then the 4th measure, starting on that same note. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and again, this is all mostly just pentatonic, right? Then measures 5 and 6 would be identical to measures 1 and 2, and then 7 and 8 would copy the ending from the A section. So the whole B section, measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Folks, I know there was a lot of information in this video, a lot of talking, and a lot of theoretical stuff. But yeah, I encourage you to just spend time with your instrument and spend time with your voice and spend time at the keyboard. But yeah, really try to engage your voice, your ear, and your sense of sort of spatial organization of these pitches. It's going to make a huge difference in terms of how quickly and comfortably you can learn new melodies without having to resort to the sheet music. So please check out part 2, which is going to be in another video where I'm going to address the accompaniment techniques for this tune. And of course, remember that when you're playing with other folks, you need to capo here to get it to sound in the correct key of G major, because we were actually just playing it in D major. So up here, exactly the same fingering and string positioning, right? Just with the capo. All right, hope to see you guys in part 2.